Hey guys, Doman here. Let's talk about Star Citizen roles, and today's subject matter is the search and rescue profession, basically the medical profession. So, let's talk about this quickly for a minute. So, about search and rescue and how it all works. So, as I've already discussed multiple times in some of my videos about permanent death, it's one of my favorite subjects of the game because I think it's going to be the most one of the ones that carry the most impact in the game. But yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. So basically, in Star Citizen, as you already know from some of my videos and information from the RSI website, you can take varying degrees of damage before your character is killed outright. And you can be killed outright straight up. If it's like, you take a serious amount of damage and boom, you're dead. So let's look at it this way. In the medical profession, what you're going to need to do is basically be ready at all times for all kinds of injuries, basically. So also you can't just go AFK during the procedure, because if you have a laser that's supposed to be amputating a limb and you leave it AFK, you might have more of a James Bond moment where the laser goes up from the leg and cuts him clean in half. That would be kind of bad, You'd look bad on the medical thing, like, oh, how did he die? Well, he suffered a severe case of James Bond villain. It's like, yeah, great. Third one this week. Or, someone comes in for, oh man, I caught my thumb in the Cutlass store. And then all of a sudden, you're attending your own character's funeral. What was his cause of death? Well, apparently he caught his thumb in the door of a Cutlass. Well, what? No, that couldn't have been his cause of death. What was it? Oh, he went to the hospital. That's not exactly gonna be looking good on your hospital report or whatever. But yeah. Let's jump right in. We're going off the tracks here again. So, basically, in Star Citizen, as your character takes damage, you're going to need medical help. And there are many ships in the game that can do that for you. You've got the Cutlass Red, which is literally an ambulance, and I love that ship. And then you have other ships also that can be used as a hospital. You have the Endeavor, which is the best in this field. So, we'll start off with the two extreme ends of the spectrum. So you have the Cutlass Red, which can be used as an ambulance to stabilize somebody, which you will have to do mid-flight, have a doctor on board, and it could be a player that's wounded. You put him on the table, maybe he was hit by a shotgun or something on board a station where a fight broke out, and he's lying down on the hospital bed, and now you have to do, as like a mini-game, a real recovery thing, like where you actually have to go into that person and fix him up and stuff. And that's really cool because there's two ways it can go. If you're not very good at it and you make multiple mistakes, you can cause more damage than he originally sustained and kill him. Or you could heal him up. And, if you do a really good job, who knows, he might not take that much damage in the long term. So, yeah, Cutlass Red is definitely a must-have if you're looking to get into the medical role properly. Like, if you really want to get into the medical profession, like the search and rescue profession, all the way, I'd recommend a Cutlass Red. It's the best bang for your buck, in my opinion. It's on the cheaper end of the spectrum in terms of ships and stuff. If it becomes available again, I'd recommend picking it up immediately. But yeah, Cutlass Red is a good one. Let's move on to the Endeavor. So the Endeavor now it can be upgraded to the Hope class Endeavor, where it has quite literally got a full hospital on it. But there's something also like extra that you can do with this hospital that is, in my opinion, awesome. You can give people illegal cybernetic enhancements. So once you've healed them up and, they're back on their feet and they've paid their basic medical bill, you could be like, hey, ever wanted to have superhuman strength, It just costs you a few extra credits. I mean, it's nothing major, it's a standard risk operation, You could be like RoboCop afterwards. It could be cool. Could be walking around, shooting people in the face and tanking bullets. Or, it'd be more of a different type of cybernetic enhancement where you might upgrade them and they'll be like, well, you now are able to run faster, jump higher, and you're better at everything, pretty much. You got faster reflexes. You could have like a built-in laser eye or something, a scanner. How cool would that be? But something like that. I don't know what the cybernetic enhancements could be, because they haven't specified on those yet. but I hope that they're pretty cool. And I'm guessing because of the way Star Citizen's going is that they're going to be awesome indeed. But yeah, you could give people illegal enhancements if you really wanted to, you know? You could, if you have a pirate fleet, a Hope class Endeavor could be the edge that you need for your organization. Or hell, if you run a mercenary organization, any kind of military organization, a Hope class Endeavor could be exactly that edge that you need to get ahead. You could upgrade your soldiers to be better and stronger and faster than the enemies when you do fight. And you can also, like when your guys come back wounded and near death, you can recover them and restore them right back to fresh. How amazing is that? That gives you such a head start above everybody else in terms of like combat and things like that. Especially if you're going to focus on more like ground boarding action stuff, because I can imagine your guys are going to get pretty beaten up. Me personally, in my organization, we're focused on that sort of stuff in terms of, we're focused on search and rescue and combat and that sort of stuff. We're sort of like an all-rounder, like mercenary group or a PMC, you know what I mean? Like, we want to help people though. That's our main goal, is to defend the weak and, you know, defeat the tyrants and that sort of stuff. But yeah, back to the medical role. I mean, it's really awesome how they've put this in the game. Each medical job and task, even the upgrades, are going to require a certain degree of skill. As you already know, in like ArcCorp and places like that, they have a hospital. And they have stuff that's for sale, like medical equipment and whatnot. Minor injuries can be fixed on the fly with your med pens and your standard medical like stuff. Say if there was an explosion, you might be able to revive somebody because it might have been minor shockwave damage that got them on their back. They might need some simple medical treatment on the fly. So you could have a field medic. So if there's three things you can do here, guys. If you're looking to be into the search and rescue or the medical profession, you could essentially be one, a freelance medic that operates on foot, or with your Cutlass Red. You could work in tandem with one, and you could go around fixing people up on the fly. You could go to war zones and things like that and heal somebody on the spot there and then bill them afterwards. You give them a receipt, and then you go on to the next wounded guy that's on the ground and do things like that. Or you could go around in your Cutlass Red as a freelance ambulance and rescue people. But as I discussed this with Gluestick yesterday, I think it was. Well, it was the day before yesterday we discussed this, and I put the video out yesterday. We were talking about how ambulance pilots and crews could essentially be, you know, a little bit on the anti-hero side, where they'll recover you and be like, well, you know, we could fix you up and stuff, you know, like you're pretty badly hurt. But that won't come cheap. And, you know, how much do you value your life right now? I mean, we could fix you up, but we do have better things to be doing. You know, it's pretty busy. Basically, in the medical and search and rescue role, there are multiple ships, funnily enough, that can actually fit these needs. You have the Cutlass Red, and you have the Hope class Endeavor. You can also use, funnily enough, the Polaris and other capital ships to fulfill this role, as a lot of them have medical bays on board. And that means you can make, you know, quick search and rescue operations with a Polaris. You can fly in, like, to a combat site, destroy the threat, and then save the lives and recover those who were in danger or wounded at the time, which is pretty awesome. I do like the search and rescue role in Star Citizen. I think it's going to be a real good one. I'd recommend anybody that's watching this or listening here to at least give it a go. You know, like when the game implements it correctly, really go for it in terms of search and rescue. And who knows, for those of you out there that might want to avoid PvP, or those of you who absolutely adore it, you both might find a common ground here with search and rescue, because it's going to require quite a bit of heroism, but it's also going to require a bit of an iron gut. And what I mean is, you're going to need to go into some really risky scenarios. Like, there could be let's give you a scenario. A Idris frigate has taken severe damage. You know, it's still under fire. They're trying to evacuate crew, and there are people that are wounded on board, and their medical bay has been destroyed. You could be the lone Cutlass Red pilot and crew, like with your doctors and nurses, and you could fly in there and save the day. You know, you could literally, they'll open, like, you could attach your ship. Hell, you could just fly in, drop off, like, you know, the medical scientist team, and they'll get all the wounded people on board, and then get out of there as the ship's taking damage or as it's about to go critical. You could be the heroes of the day, you know, like the awesome ambulance team from the future kind of thing. That should be a TV show. If anyone's watching this and needs to make a TV show and looking for an idea, ambulance in space. I've given you the idea. I want a bit of those profits if it goes live, okay? You heard it here first, folks, on Demo Man channel. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool. So, as always, folks, you know the drill. Fly safe, Commanders, and I'll see you in the verse.